It's going to take a couple of minutes. So.
Am I able to share it on my page? I've never done it like this.
Yeah, you can go to my page.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you can go to. I can tag you on it if you want me to.
Yeah, there it is.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it should be okay. Yeah, we got it. I don't see anybody coming on though. All right, I'm gonna play the intro.
Yeah, do it.
We'll be right back. What's happening, everybody? What's going on? It's good to see Bruce is in the house on YouTube, the Soulogy comic.
I was like, Bruce Lee?
Bruce Fischetti, I think is his name. So we got Kristie Sparksman is in the house. I've seen you in the field for a while, but you put up that post like 2 months ago. That sovereignty post. I don't remember all the words, but it was just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I was like, oh, you got to come on. Yeah. Sorry it took 6 weeks. I've been a little busy, but yeah, it's good to have you here. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Have you done any videos before?
I did a live with Melissa Dehan.
Okay, cool.
Did a real talk with her. We dove into addiction stuff. And then one other, who is it with? Oh, Anya Day. We did a little talk about addiction, of course, again.
Yeah. That's a big part of your journey, right?
Yeah, big time. It's funny. I was listening to Joe talk just now, Dr. Joe. It was just so much alignment for me because, I too wanted to kill myself. I too was drinking at work and got fired, like all of those things. So I just felt so much correlation with the depth of his journey and, the depth of your journey. And I just feel like they're so aligned. And I was so excited to talk to you specifically about it just because we are, I don't know, I feel like we're aligned. We're similar. When you were talking to, it was Crystal Clenny a few days ago.
Yeah.
And you said something about having a curious mind. And it like bounces all around. I was like, me too.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, it's weird. I think like that part of me anyway, I think maybe it's for everybody. It's like coming into clarity or focus or balance or confidence. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, maybe it's sovereignty, freedom, love, spirit, soul. They're all, I mean, to me, they're all interchangeable truth. But like your post, I don't know, did your post mention addiction? I don't know that your post did. It was more of I saw that when you had like a picture of you lit. I saw that like 10 days ago, like it was a 5-year sobriety anniversary or something. But in that post that you did, to me, it encompassed everything. It encompassed the divine feminine, the mother goddess energy. It defined sovereignty, it defined soul. I am soul. That's what, I share a lot of stuff to the Soulogy group, probably 30, 40 posts a day. And most of them are memes and they'll have some writing to them, but yeah, like that one did like over 1,000 engagements. I was like in the group, right? which is amazing. People really respond to when the human comes out. I mean, what got you to that point? I mean, was that your liberation day? Had you already hit it? Was that your like fuck it day? I'm going out. I'm coming out.
I've had so many fuck it days. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I've had one the last couple days.
Oh, I'm having one right now.
Yeah. This is the best time to meet.
Yeah, exactly. I tend to hit a rock bottom, and then, then you realize that it's not even as far low as you can go. And then you spring back up with this intensity of like, okay, I'm busting through these patterns that I've had my whole life. And that post specifically was, so back in November, I had started sharing more and more about wounded child things, like about the wounded inner child, and just really coming back online, so to speak, as to how much I had been through, because I was so dissociated like my whole life and just very not present in what had actually happened, so repressed. And in November, I had started sharing more, and my family was very involved in commenting on my posts and, then texting me or sending me messages and trying to kind of tell me that my reality wasn't what it was. And I had this like moment of diverging timelines. I was like, okay, if I am to continue moving forward with who I came here to be, like who I really am underneath all this stuff, I kind of have to like, pick or choose. And I don't like bringing duality into it, but I really had to be like, okay, this is about me now. Like, this is like, it's time to choose myself, instead of choosing to always be, making sure everyone's okay with how what I'm doing, making sure everyone approves of my decisions, and, just like a deep, deep, deep codependency. And so I deleted everyone from my Facebook. All 30 of them, I think there was 29, aunts, uncles, like grandparents. Because I was trying to make my lists, like, I was trying to make it so that only specific people saw my posts, but then that felt really inauthentic to me.
Yeah,
And I just want to share openly, and not have to hide any one part of me to make someone else feel better.
Yeah.
So I just blocked and deleted them all so that they couldn't find me. I know that sounds bad, but my family was very, bless their souls, and I chose it, and like they really helped me get to where I am. But man, were they dysfunctional, and it's not something I want to be a part of anymore. So I really had to make a choice and cut them. And I've kind of eased back into allowing them, to text me here and there, but I really did. I fully went black, and I was like, I need to ask for space, blackout. Like, we need to just not talk right now.
I'd say that was a brilliant move by your oversoul.
Oh, yeah.
At the perfect time. I mean, a lot of people have come on this show. I just want to say something first. When you read, for instance, when I read your post, I heard a certain voice, and that voice was absolutely in command. It was the human integrating with the higher self, and it was fucking incredible. and what you just said was fucking incredible.
Thank you.
Because it's not the same voice. It's so human, but I can feel the resonance from your heart, and I can feel you shaking in your boots. And to me, that's it. It's like pure transparency, or move in that direction. But anyway, a lot of people have come on this show and they've said, when I was a kid, I had something. Then I went to sleep, went into the matrix, had a family, whatever. Then I had a kind of a reawakening, and my family told me I was crazy, and so on and so on and so on. It sounds like, whether you went through that or not years ago, you went through like a fast track of it coming into 2021, which, I mean, where's everybody at right now? Solitude, isolation, self-introspection. I mean, it's happening. So you kind of went early.
Yeah, it's funny when I moved back here. I'm in Calgary. At the end of 2019, I was living in Vancouver, and was basically clinging for dear life to my old life. I was clinging to, my career. I was clinging to the comforts and friend group and awesome apartment I had, all of these like material things that I was clinging to. Something wasn't feeling right, but I didn't have any sort of, context for what was next. I was just sort of like, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And on my 30th birthday, I was biking to a yoga class to meet a friend, and a car swerved right into my bike. It was inches from smacking me, but I flew off the handlebars anyways. I was just like whoosh, ass over tea kettle. And the only thing I felt when I got off the ground, I was shocked, of course. The only thing I thought was, this is God. This is a divine intervention. Of an actual shove to the pavement wake up call of, you need to like get going on your shit, like what you came here to do. And
would you consider that your wake up experience?
No. So I met my divine partner, my twin flame, in 2000. Oh, we were friends many years before we actually recognized each other and went through all that. But that was at the end of 2016, and then so 2017, I think around May, was when I realized, I looked at myself in the mirror one day. I remember sitting there, and I was married. I had a stable career. Everything was going really, really well. I was making lots of money. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and a voice was like, everything is about to change. And so I spent 2017, 2018 sort of dissolving my life. I quit my marriage. I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I quit doing drugs. I quit my job. Everything just sort of like, slowly, but actually quite quickly, when you think about it, dissolved. And then I was kind of clinging on in 2019. I was like, no, like, my divine partner and I were trying to make something work, and it just wasn't, because we weren't dealing with our stuff. So we just
was your divine partner your husband that you?
No, oh sorry.
Okay, so this was that. No, that's okay. That's it. No, I got you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, the labels kind of, my twin and I. Yeah, we were trying so hard to make something work, but in the fall and collapse of each of our lives, it was messy. It was, our wounds were up. We were fighting when we normally wouldn't. The whole process. So, yeah, and then the getting hit by the car, almost getting hit by the car thing, woke me up even further. It was like an initiation of sorts. And then 3-4 months later, I moved back here and went into the intense healing cave, the grieving, you name it, facing shadow, all of it. So I've been
how did you do that? I know there's a lot of ways, as Morgan says, there's a lot of ways up the mountain, but how did you have like a process that you used, or how did you do that?
I was flailing. The only thing I really had was just this, like, couldn't ignore intuition. So I call it the lightning bolt. It just felt like I was zapped, and I knew what I had to do. I had not even begun to face my real issues yet. I had quit the drinking and quit the drugs and quit the smoking, but all of that emotional turbulence that was creating my need for all of the vices, whatever you call them,
distractions,
compulsions, like all of those things, all of the like tidal wave of emotions. It was just right at the surface. It was just, so I was like so frenetic. I was just like constantly like, I gotta find something else, so
yeah, that's a hell of a trip. How deep can you go?
I mean, I haven't found the bottom yet. So.
I don't think there is a bottom.
Exactly.
Like there's not a top, but I mean, yeah, there's something about going to the bottom, like you were talking about earlier. You go to the bottom, and then, there's something about that.
Jewels at the bottom.
Yeah. So you just kind of intuitively sounded like your, whatever, however you want to put it, like your higher self came in, and the line of communication, it was like, this is the priority. And I guess that was during 2020, huh? I mean, yeah. So there was already a quarantine, right?
It changed my life in zero ways. I was already like
Right.
ignoring everyone and staying at home.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, like, when 2020 came, I was like, well, for impasse, nothing's going to change because we've all been hanging out inside the house.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. When I moved back to Calgary, so end of 2019, this was in October, I then started to work with two people who were like a divine in union couple.
Yeah.
I started learning energy work, and I started actually practicing and putting my money where my mouth was, so to speak, about, really healing. And slowly, layer by layer, it started, more and more started becoming revealed to me. In March 2020, I just started speaking the truth. Like I was such a good liar. I was such a good liar. I could manipulate anyone into anything. And that's
Wow.
just, it was an act of safety really from childhood. Because when I spoke the truth, I got in trouble. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
go through that. And I think a lot of people, that's maybe why we deny our own realities so much. Like, oh, I'm not in pain. Oh, that doesn't bother me. I think we deny our realities so much because we had our realities denied by our parents.
Yeah.
Like they were like, oh,
Yeah.
it's nothing to be
It's
afraid
easier.
of.
God, that's so potent. I mean, it's easier, in reflection and hearing you, it's easier to say I'm okay. And that's where it came. That's where it came from, basically. Archie, you're right. Because you would come out and say, I'm not okay. Well, then you need to do this, or you need to grow up, or
Yeah,
boys don't cry, or
yeah,
whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm okay.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a big wake up. That was a big wake up call for me. Like, I want to say, like a year into the streets, when I woke up, I learned one day I wasn't okay. So stop telling your kid that you're okay. I would tell them I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay.
mhm,
It changed my life.
yeah. It, and that's the thing, when you've never done it before, when you've never actually had anyone in your life that is, a parental type or a caregiver teaching you how to have these emotions.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The past 2 years, like people ask me what I've been up to, and I answer very honest. I'm like crying, learning to cry,
Yeah.
learning to be still, learning to not fill my time with things, learning not to talk so much, learning to listen, learning to,
Mm.
shut up and feel. That's what I've literally been doing for 2 years now. And it's taken that much time to learn these things because they weren't natural to me. It's something I had to learn. And it's like learning to be who I really am.
Yeah.
You know,
Unlearning.
unlearn exactly the great
Really.
un.
It's unlearning. It's
Hmm.
just, yeah, you put it, I can't add anything to that. It's, yeah, like I talk to people on this show or otherwise, and then you get these moments of reflection. I always say the past, present, and future merge when I get something. So I look back and I can, in your story, I can remember those moments.
Hmm.
But the 2 years, and do you think that in terms of your, your consciousness, awareness, abilities, sensitivities, do you think that there's been any relation to your your alignment and your healing as you've gone on through these 2 years? I mean, have you noticed anything different in your body and your abilities and senses and stuff?
Yeah. You know, I thought having, like a stiff neck and chronically sore shoulders was normal. And I feel an actual like ease in my body now. Now that
Yeah.
I've, released all of that stuck energy inside of me, that emotional pain that never came up and was just pushed so far down, I didn't even realize it was there. I was in, total denial about that. Yeah, there's like a grace almost, and I'm able to actually sit in a park, watch clouds go by, smell all the smells of like the flowers and hear the screams of kids and feel joy. Like that's something I had never done before. Taking it easy. That has a whole new meaning to me now. It's sort of like, yeah, it's really just learning how to be present is what it was. Because I wasn't ever present. It
That's
was
right. Yeah.
dissociation or hypervigilance. Like pick your two. I was there. I was past and I was future, and I've never really just been here. And so learning to be here, maybe it doesn't sound, oh, whatever, that's easy. It's not easy. It's taken me 2 years of concentrated effort to actually do that. And that speaks to just how off course I was, really, how misaligned, how
Man, you're just you're a hell of a speaker. I mean, you just sum everything up. I mean, like you're making me think, like it's, we used to walk around the world and say, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And now we walk through the world going, how do I feel about what's going on here? First part of it, how do I feel? Right. I mean, you're right. Being present, you would think that means I'm being present with you, but at the depth of it, or, where it really starts is being present with yourself, which is, it seems like, many of us have been guided to this place, and it seems to be culminating now and really expanding. Like what's in store for you? Like, as you look, I know we can only look like a day ahead or a week ahead, but how does that feel? You mentioned being kind of stuck on the future, like all of us stuck on the past. We've all been there, and now we're in this space of presence in the present. And it's just a new math. It's a new language. It's a new way of life. It's like, it's not just, and it just seems like it's happening. Like, I don't know. I can't even explain it. It's just, I don't know how you feel about it. How do you feel about it? Where are you headed?
Well, first I want to comment on what you said. It's almost like I don't have a preference anymore. Like I'm just an instrument, and source, spirit, God's will is just flowing through me now, and I'm just doing what I'm called to do, and learning to be comfortable with that. It has been really hard for me to unlearn that busyness and the productivity. That rushing around, go 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 lifestyle. I had 3 jobs at one point. To going to nothing and being unemployed for 2 years. Like it was madness. It was like a total flip. And so to just be in this present place, it's very expansive. It's like you can do everything or anything or nothing, which is, they're all the same anyway.
No, you're right though. We used to could not do nothing because we'd be sitting there going, man, I need to be doing this, or I need to be doing that, or I shouldn't have done this, or all that mind fuck. You know what I mean? But it's kind of cool though, yeah, because I can relate to that, because over the, I don't know, whatever, last few weeks, doing nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. That's all I'm going to do. I don't want to talk to nobody. I even like lay on the couch and intend to watch some Netflix or something. I just turn it off and I just sit there in nothing. It's not like some deep meditation either,
I know, yeah.
It's like
I'm literally putting my hands like on where my solar plexus is and just breathing. Like I'm trying to learn to breathe deeply. And I'll go to a grocery store and the cashier will be like, "Hi, how are you? Like, what have you been up to?" Because I go there a lot. I'm the regular there, and I'm like, "Oh, nothing." She's like, "Are you keeping busy?" I'm like, "No." No. I'm doing nothing at all. It's just so, yeah, it's met with such like, what? But I was there, a few years ago, I would have been the same. I'm like, what does doing nothing mean?
Yeah, exactly. And what about the body? You mentioned the body a couple of times. It's been talked about on this show, and I mentioned it, but I almost want to say it, like the body has been speaking. to people. It's not in our imagination. I mean, has your relationship changed, or your ability, your clarity with that connection, or your body itself? Has that been part of it?
Oh, yeah. Uh, I remember you were talking about weird ascension symptoms you were having while you were in Sedona, I think, right the night before everything, like Soulogy Fest, before that happened. You were talking about having like stinky pee. And I was like, yeah, me too. It's like the body's like processing out all of this, cellular debris.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Oh my God. That's
sorry.
funny. I'm not having it anymore. Since I don't know when, probably uh, May, maybe. But like now I'm juicing. I'm drinking 3 or 4 glasses of fresh juice a day, and things are changing. My body's guiding me, but yeah, some of that stuff. And like even today, like usually when there's a lot of stuff going on, my whole face gets chapped. It was the worst day it's ever been. My third eye, all my face up in here, my beard, it's kind of hiding it. But yeah, I'm hoping that stuff kind of goes away. It feels like it is. It feels like
Oh,
it is.
I put on 30 pounds and I wasn't really eating too much, or I just couldn't move. I was just laying there in like grief and doing my best just to stretch. But I really think that I put on that weight. It's actually kind of falling off of me now, but it
Yeah.
came on when I was
Yeah.
deep in grief. And I really it was so much like, feminine conditioning of having the perfect body was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so wrapped up
Yeah.
in that, especially because I worked in bars for 11 years where, my value was based on how sexy I looked. And so I was in shock, of course, by the weight gain because I really wasn't doing anything to, bring it on. I was eating normally. I was so shocked and scared. And then, my back broke out and all this acne, and I've never had it before. And like all of these weird things were happening. And my veins started showing a lot, and then that's gone down. And,
Yeah.
hair growth has been insane. Like just,
You're an
it's,
ET. You're an ET. You're and everything else. You probably
yeah.
were a horse or a unicorn, and your hair's, you're embodying the unicorn. Your hair's going crazy. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
this is the real thing. This is the real deal. This is happening. And I love what you said too, because used to, okay, we were conditioned to think something's wrong. And it's really something's out of alignment. So you're going through this, and a lot of people gained weight in 2020. I think it was in preparation for what's happening now, because we're burning so much damn energy,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, really. But yeah, like, in other words, you break out, or my face breaks out here. I mean, I know there's an energetic part of it that has to do with it, like physics wise or whatever, but it's also something stored in here, something stored in this area that needs to come out or is coming out. So, you put some coconut oil on it in this case, or whatever the case is, but you don't go and get like some big pharma, antidote and go into, because it's really an energetic game. You're already on the defense. It's like people now, like less people are using protection because they're at a place where they know there's nothing to protect from, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Food too, like for a while I was just craving mangoes, like dried mangoes. I would just eat them all day, every day. And it was just like a need for sugar. And
Mm-hmm.
just really like listening intuitively to what I needed. In the past few weeks, I've barely eaten anything, and yet I feel great. Uh, and it's just like a water sort of like, or like a small light meal a day. And it's changes. Like the next day might be like, I really need a burger,
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
like
I,
denser foods for grounding, and
I don't know
I,
what it is. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you on that. The juicing, I'm sticking with it. I like it. It's 3 or 4 a day. Maybe I get to where that's the only thing I do. But I'm noticing I'm cooking like artistically and creatively, and like making these dishes, because I'm trying to clear everything out of the freezer. And but I won't eat but just a little bit of it. So I got like 3 dishes in there from 3 days, and I won't eat them now. I'll feed them to the animals. But it's weird. Hot sauce. I've loved hot sauce my whole life, and hot things. And I can't eat the spicy like I could before. It doesn't make me sick or anything. I just don't want it. Like, you're right. Your body tells you. You know, Morgan was laughing at me like 3 nights ago. I said, I got to eat something. And she goes, what are you going to get? I said, a hamburger, French fries, and a shake. And I don't normally do that. But yeah, I don't. Another thing for me, I don't know how you feel about it, especially with this fast track you've been on the last year and a half or more, but is judgment. Like, one of the first things I check in when I get into a space where I don't know what I'm feeling exactly, and I have to look at myself. It's never them, it's always me. The first thing I tell myself, for the last month or two is, don't go into judgment about yourself. It's information, it's code, it's an experience, and look at it that way and use it to further align. So that's been a pretty big deal for me. Did you have a lot of self-judgment? Do you? Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I had a pretty wild upbringing and had these very internalized parental voices. Essentially, I couldn't do anything right as a kid. I had mom and dad, all sides, just all the time. Like, there was nothing I did right. And so I really internalized those voices. My inner critic was robust, to say the least. So it has been like pulling gum out of hair to like undo that, and it's constant. Like, it's every day I have to be very present when I hear that voice come up. I actually talk to it and I say, hey, that's not true. Like, you don't have to say those things anymore. Go do something else. I like send it away as if it's like an actual person. I talk to those parts, like those, sub-personalities I'm sure you've heard of. I talk to them. I converse with them all the time and make sure that I'm, is this decision coming from highest self, or is this coming from a wounded place?
Right.
For example, like the judgment, let's just say, like, using weight, my weight as an example. All sorts of judgments were flying up, just things I remembered, people saying like, oh, I love your body or whatever in the past, being like so out of whack with like my own identity that wearing clothes like I don't feel good in, because I just don't know my identity's gone. So I just don't feel like, I don't know what I like to wear anymore. Like, that's all gone. Like, it doesn't really bother me.
I'm sitting here in my underwear and a dress shirt.
Yeah, I'm wearing pajama bottoms and a band tee.
My whole wardrobe is dirty since I got back from Sedona. There's not much left. You can only turn your underwear on inside out, 1 or 2 days. I'm sorry, but yeah, I definitely resonate with you. Yeah, and for me, the gold has been being able to be honest. I call it the brutal honesty of the soul. What you were describing, and that is judging others. Like, if you really listen to yourself, what are you saying? Right. And I'm talking to myself, because I know if I see it, if there's any kind of charge, there's a judgment. There's a judgment, inferior, superior, something's going on. So that's been a big alchemic laboratory atmosphere for me this year. And I don't know if it was that we weren't aware so much about things like that, or if it just wasn't time.
Yeah. For me, with judgments, them coming from the ego is fed by those inner child wounds. It basically, like, it's like I like to think of it as the dirt is the ego, and then whatever flowers or like our thoughts and feelings kind of grow out of that dirt. So that dirt is nourished by our wounds. So if our ego is massive, or out of control or reactive, we're wounded. And so I've been able to really kind of flip to this more compassionate place of understanding that everyone is wounded, and I don't like to use alls or nothings, but everyone it does have a degree of wounding. Like we don't escape it when we come here. I believe we're here to unravel and heal our wounding and remember ourselves. Like, so we're all wounded. We all have like one piece of the pie in terms of trauma. Like, take your pick.
Oh, I got like I got like 1,000. I know there's people that got a lot more than me.
Like I was
No.
going to the grocery store before I came down here and incarnated and just swept everything off the shelf in terms of trauma. And I was like, I want to experience all of these. Like there's
Yeah.
almost nothing I
Yeah.
haven't been through. There's a big truck going by. Can you hear that?
Yeah. No, it's not too low. Well, there's something to be said for some of the commentaries that people have, through their different ways in regard to us being souls and basically setting up the environment and choosing the family and the whole 9 yards. And the further I get away from the fire, especially in these ascending or expanding energies, as we get more clarity and more, I look back at how I position myself, and I'm like, wow, you're pretty smart. If you look at it from the non-wounded, you know what I mean? If you look
Yeah.
at it as I am all these things in this human body, in this moment, in this present, because that's all we have. And if that's all true, let's roll. Because we
I like
tried the other way.
I like
you
to
know?
think that I was at the astral bar doing too many tequila shots, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take on this lifetime for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Give me it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get here and I'm like, this is the worst hangover
Yeah.
ever.
Yep. Hey, you know what? We're cut from the same cloth.
You know?
I've always known I was the first one down the chute, for the next mission, and I've actually had some validation from that from friends of mine from time to time. The last time was Franco was on the show, and he people talk about going to the council meetings, right? And on the ships and that type of thing. I said something to him. I said to him, "Well, next time you go, tell him to take it easy." He said, "Dude." He said, "Dude, I see you in the council meetings. You're the one that's pushing it. You're pushing it." And he said something like, "Yeah, you said no, I'll fall down, but I'll get back up." And something rang true with that. I was like, "Oh my God, he's right."
Yeah.
But that's the nature. I think you can probably relate to that.
Mm-hmm. The two people I started working with in late 2018, they did all the Akashic record stuff. Like I was not familiar with any of this stuff. They read my soul group type, like all this stuff, and I was like very new and green to all of it. I was like, what are you, talking about? But also accepting it because it felt familiar. So yeah, they told me, they were like, you choose hard lifetimes every time you come here, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, I ran into a psychic, right? I don't know, like probably like about a year after I got off the streets, and I'd had a few engagements with different psychics and mediums and stuff like that. And he said, "Dude, and he was doing, I guess, some kind of reading. It wasn't like an official session. He goes, I see you. You were like swimming up the waterfall, like swimming. Let's talk about swimming against the stream. But yeah, I think we all did though. And one of the things that for me that's that feels right is every one of us is a badass.
Oh yeah.
Not just on the earth. I'm talking about coming down here. We have mad respect for what we've done and what we're doing. And that's what's, to me, mind blowing. I think we're moving into a space very soon where we're no longer going to be learning. We're always learning, but the recipient, we're going to be entering a space where the universe is actually getting pure code real time from us. Only possible through taking that Akashic plus our experience and then producing a new life, new earth, new universe.
Yeah, I agree that there's like this information just comes to me now. Like I used to read so much. Before I woke up, I was a self-help book like
Mm-hmm.
aficionado. I read them all. Like I was just obsessed with that sort of thing, like improving myself, gotta get better, all this stuff. This is after I, you know, went through my really darker days with addiction. And now I have all these books. I still haven't gotten rid of them. I'm in the process of just being like, I don't need these anymore. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I could pick one up
Yeah.
and I already kind of know what they're gonna say, or
Yeah.
it's like something I don't have access to if I really spent time like just thinking about or feeling it, if that makes sense. And it's not from a place of like, I'm a know-it-all, I don't need anyone else to tell me. It's just a straight up intuitive line to source that I can trust myself to make these decisions, and I don't need someone in a book to tell me them anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does, and I've heard a lot of people say that, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to go back and read books.
For
Because
sure,
I'm in the same boat you are,
Mm.
and I remember taking a big hit when I first got on social media because somebody had recommended a video to me to watch, and it was a very high frequency dude, a very cool dude. I really looked up to him and look up to him now, but and I said to him, I guess I had just gotten a jolt or something must have happened because I said, I don't follow anybody now. I'm just getting my own thing. And like he just blasted the hell out of me. But yeah, I think there's certain, characteristics that we're all having. You're like summing everything up virtually. I mean, that's been the symptoms of ascension, not that aren't, not the physical, even that part too, but yeah.
Yeah, the part of that meeting with those two people I used to work with, they did say this is going to happen for you quite quickly, and basically what I got from that was hold on to nothing and just like
Yeah.
you're gonna be going. And I was like, what does that mean? And
Yeah. It's like that. I put that video up. You ever seen that video of, what is that thing called where they take you all the way up and there's two people in it and they just drop you?
oh, like the drop of doom.
Yeah. And there was this one that somebody put like a meme to it, but it was a video and it said, my higher self, right? And it was, I think, this boy's aunt, this little chubby boy. Did you see it? And
He's screaming.
oh my God. Oh my God. And some people got upset about me posting it, but I thought that's so it right there. And because you got to get to that point where you just like totally lose your bowels and everything. And you're just like, oh, like you said earlier, you get to the bottom as far as you can go. And then you look down and you would think you'll be okay because, there's the bottom, but there's no bottom.
No.
And that's it. It's like beyond surrender. It's just like, I don't know how to, it's inevitable, I think.
Yeah. It also is it's kind of like using labels like or identities, twin flame, I'm a blueprint of soul, like all these things. They were useful for some time. Like it was helpful for me to like gain my footing. But once I got there, I have to let it go. Cause like, I don't, it's like, I saw a post you made a few months ago and I felt the same way. It was about, dropping the whole 144 light worker starseed thing, like identity. Like I don't feel like I'm special. Like I have unique gifts, yes, but we all do. We all have like a square in this giant quilt, and we all have this little part that is connected to the other parts that makes up the whole fabric. It's really beautiful. And how can I know what's best for someone else? I can't. I used to tell everyone, I knew what was best for everyone. I was Kristie. I could I could
wounded
see
healer, wounded healer archetype.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Let me fix you because I ain't fixing myself because I don't even know there's anything wrong with me. I'm the coolest person in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I used to brag to people. I was like, my parents' divorce never affected me. My dad's more like a cool uncle. And I used to just brag to people. I'm like, it didn't affect me. Oh, it did.
Man, you must have had some serious come to Jesus meetings with your inner children. Your inner children. No, seriously. I mean, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work with people? Are you an energy practitioner?
So I'm trained and certified in a number of modalities. I haven't launched anything yet because I did in March 2020. I put myself out there. I made an Instagram. It has over 1,000 followers. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. But what I realized after about a month of posting because I'm a graphic designer. That's what I went to school for.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Are you talking video or just pictures? Or,
branding, like logos,
oh, I
and
got you.
making like those bricks, those squares that you post on social media. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
was
cool.
that. Yeah, I had a really thriving business with that, and then so I was creating all of these cool graphics for this page and posting, and people were resonating, but I just did not feel like I was running it in the way that I wanted to run it. I was doing it very 3D world like I was like, I have to post every single day and it has to be at this time. And I hadn't really integrated everything yet. I was still like, I knew mentally the things I was talking about, but it hadn't really embodied it so much. So
Hmm.
I deactivated the account. I put it like, I just kind of shut everything down and realized like I have, I'm, I'm 32 now. This was last year. So I was like, I'm just turning 31 and I have never, ever really cried or sat with myself. So I really had to do that first. And it was a scary decision because I was like, what am I going to do for an income? And yet, it's been 2 years of almost of being unemployed. And I've still like randomly money will just come into my life, and I've been held by the universe for almost 2 years without a job, which is like my job has been full-time healing so that I can
Hmm.
arrive at a place where I can hold space for people in a much more compassionate and embodied way. So to answer your question, I haven't launched anything yet, but I'm hoping to soon because it feels like it's time now. It
Well,
genuinely.
I mean, as high frequency as you are, and in touch with yourself, you'll know because you are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's coming through. Yeah, I think that's you, you see these headlines of people they can't find people to come to work. They're saying, "Hey, the government's giving you more than than you'll earn," and whatever that is, because half of it's bullshit. But people are staying home. People haven't been able to go to work. I'm talking collectively. If you look at it, and if you don't have money, what are you going to do? You're going to spend some time with yourself because you're going to go into that mode of working victim consciousness out. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is happening. The virus is happening. This is happening. Can't go to work. Da, 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 da. And then one day you're like, you know what? It's like you said, it's those F it moments.
Mhm.
You say, I've had enough of this. I'm going to do something different. Our brother, Ryan Aguilar, who's obviously a big fan of yours,
Who's my
my,
guy?
my brother, man, he's the first person I ever talked to Soulogy about face to face in 2014.
Oh.
But, you know, he's amazing. And I don't know, over the last 4, 5, 6 months, he's gone on this health kick and he's killing it.
Oh, crushing
He's killing
it.
it. And
Jujitsu.
yeah. And that's the energy we're talking about. It's weird. It's like I'm not selfish. I'm soul, but you've got to be selfish to the soul. It's like
Mhm.
what you exhibit, what you are, what you talk about. And the reason I asked you if you're a practitioner because you're very articulate and you have a certain resonance in your voice. I don't know. Do you envision any public speaking?
Yeah, I've given a few talks in my day.
Cool.
I mean, I worked in the service industry for a number of years, so my whole like my I had to be talking to people all the time. I mean, that doesn't come from there. I always got in trouble when I was a kid for talking too much. Always like every week I would have in my agenda written down by a teacher. Kristie is very disruptive in class because she talks all the time to people. And don't even get me started on the education system.
Mm.
I don't even want to go there, but it's just because it would take so much of our time up. But it's I've realized like it's a gift because I feel like I can take a bigger picture thing and sort of distill it into like a more digestible concept, I suppose.
Mm.
And yeah, the people I want to work with eventually, I'm envisioning just being able to hold space for people having those like really deep grieving moments,
Yeah.
and childhood pain, just because, those are all the things that I'm very well versed in, because I've gone through them
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
deeply and have come out the other side knowing that it's possible to heal.
Well, you said earlier, and I asked you, you said I have quite a few certifications or da da da. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't need any. you are certified.
Yeah, for sure.
See, that's the thing. When they told us we were certifiable as insane, they were right. We were certifiable to what reality is, and obviously that people like that, like us, you know, that's the whole issue. They see things more clearly. They have a window into the other side, so to speak.
I would much rather work with someone who had been through the thing that I was currently going through
Yeah,
and made it, out, than someone who has a psychology degree. I would, who hasn't gone through it, or who
yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
done their emotional work. Because, over the past 7, 8 or so months, when I was like really in it, like passively suicidal every day, like just, I can't believe I'm in so much pain. I only had about 1 or 2 people I could talk to about it whenever I did need support, because just a lot of people hadn't gone through that like really deep, like, I want to fucking die.
Yeah, I had it 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's shit. I had it. I had it 2, 3 days after the Soulogy Fest. I mean,
Oh.
it's part of that. I'm not okay,
Hmm.
and that's okay.
Hmm.
I remember my higher self telling me over and over, because I'd be like when I was on the streets the first 2 years, and I'd be like marching every day. I'm going to survive. I'm going to show them. So the ego was like really huge, but the soul was really huge too, right? And I remember hearing, stupid, a soul cannot survive because the soul never dies. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, wait a second. And now here it is 9, 10 years later, and I'm just getting that. I'm, you know what I mean? It's actually embodying in me, right? How people talk about, I'll tell it this way. I know with myself and for many people having, doing what I'm doing for the last 10 years, um, we pull something in, a revelation. We immediately want to go share it because we know it's pure, pure intel. Um, and then somewhere down the road, we embody it.
Mm.
Right. And I don't feel embarrassed by saying this. I mean, I'm wedded with an energy practitioner, galactic, priestess who's said this to me for years, but I finally got that. I'm pulling this stuff in massively now, like so many of us, but don't talk about it. Just, I mean, not like in that way, just embody, then share. Right. I
Mhm.
mean, how much does that play into what you are? I mean, like, do you have to consciously embody stuff? Does it come easy for you um, in applying, everything that's coming to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I use 2020 as sort of my reference point, early 2020, like before March. I would post things and it would just be a resonance I could feel myself. It would be like, it doesn't feel right that I'm posting this because I hadn't really gone through it yet, and it
Mm,
almost felt like a regurgitation of someone else's information.
mm,
And for me, like, I can't do that anymore. Like before I used to, betray myself all the time. It was easy for me. I was like, whatever, be quiet, I'll just do what everyone else wants me to do. Now, if I betray myself, immediately I feel it. It's like
yeah,
and it'll just be maybe an accidental like betrayal. Like I'll reach for my phone and I'll be like, what did I do? Like I told myself I was gonna like lay here quietly. And I'm not hard on myself. I'm just sort of like, oh, let's put that away and like let's focus again. But it's like an instant feedback sort of thing. It's like, this doesn't feel good anymore.
yeah,
This feels good. And it's just a body resonance now, and
yeah,
it's visible, and it's just
yeah,
that field of energy coming. through me, you know, it's like instantly. I'll be like at the grocery store wondering what I should buy to snack on or something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just like put my hand over certain vegetables and be like, okay, this one, you know, and it's like something I wouldn't think to eat, like a rutabaga or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. You just hear, eat me, eat me,
Like,
merge
what?
with me. No. God, man, you're just like full of code today. I mean, I'm
Oh,
just sitting here. I mean, it's God, what you know, this is the real time intel. This is what's happening. The human is here. The human is the hero because the human is here. You know what I mean?
oh my God, you said that. One of my like hashtags, like you have I am soul and the human is the hero. One of mine that's been like constantly downloading is I'm here for the human. And what you just said was just the reverse of that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm
Oh
here.
yeah, like well, because that's what people like you represent. The human is here. This is one of the reasons I love Morgan Lee the way I. One of the fucking billion reasons is because she's a straight ET. She's a total galactic.
Straight up.
Yet she is obsessed with embodiment, which to me means being fully human. Like she has total respect for her human, come hell or high water. Doesn't matter what Todd says or Jesus says. Doesn't matter what anybody says. This is, you know, this is what did you say? I'm here for the human. That would really encapsulate what I'm trying to say. So, but I'm looking at it going, you know, how can we be at our best potential if the place or the part of our multidimensionality or the bulk of our consciousness, however you want to put it, is in the human? It's like, you know what I mean? You just can't get away from it. And what does that represent? I mean, to me, you know, I mean, I've had my share of experiences, but the only thing I really know for sure is I'm a human. You know what I mean? I'm a soul. I mean, it feels that way, but I'm a human, and we can't get away from it.
Yeah. And it's not like I came. I'm in Alberta. Someone is blasting country music outside my window.
Is it country music? Is it country music big over there? Is it?
Oh yeah, we have this event every summer called the Stampede, and it's essentially where the whole city shuts down for 11 days and puts on their cowboy hats and goes buck wild.
Buck wild. Oh hell.
Wild.
You know. Oh yeah, buck wild. Can you relate to buck wild? I can relate to buck wild.
Is that a human?
No, it's a.
Oh,
what is that? It's hey, I worked in the bar industry and the other things, but you know, Franco said something to me in Sedona when after the fest, and there was a lot of people going through stuff. Morgan was going through stuff, and a lot of her sisters were going through it. I think they were on the front end of it. It had to do with victim consciousness, rejection, and shame. So she had shared that with me, and I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. Of course, I usually go a few days later, which I did. And but I was talking to Franco about it, like, you know, what are you feeling out? You know, what are you seeing in the field? And he just said to me, yeah, I don't, you know, it was just in the conversation. I don't see that in you. I don't see, but I do see a little shame. I'm like, I don't really see that. I didn't really feel that. But then I got to, you know, kind of like marinated in what he said and what had happened over the last few days. And I realized that there was a level of shame still active in that buck wild, from those buck wild moments.
Oh, you know, yeah.
See, buck wild to me is like when you go push the envelope so far that you wake up the next day going, oh man.
Oh, Todd, you are speaking to me right now.
But that built character for me. I mean, what about you? I mean, because you have to have that conversation with yourself. You can't just suppress it. And my most buck wild moments came in the first 2 years when I was having divine episodes at the same, you know, day in, day out. So it was like I'd wake up going, okay, I accept you. I'm not giving up on you. You know what I mean? Did you ever have those moments?
When I hear like, when for me, buck wild refers back to like when I was like spiraling out of control,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like blacking out 6 times a week,
Oh,
passing
I
out on
knew that.
park
Yeah,
benches,
yeah. Well, I did that.
going
um,
to guys, sleeping with everyone and anyone that was
yeah.
around, just totally out of control, cheating on every single partner I was with. Like I was really out of control. Like, so for me, those buck wild conversations have really been sort of just a forgiveness
Yeah.
process, and it has not been easy. For me, forgiveness isn't something. I, I'll position it this way. I think premature forgiveness is quite rampant out there because we are uncomfortable with the fact that if someone doesn't forgive me, or if I don't forgive someone, that there might be some sort of like um, anger still there, and people are very uncomfortable with those darker emotions.
Yeah.
So they're quick to be like, "Oh, I forgive you," even if they haven't honored how hurt they are. So we're so quick. Like a few years ago, I remember saying, "Oh yeah, I forgive my mom. I forgive my dad," and I hadn't gone through the process of grieving just how much I had lost,
Yeah.
and really honoring those, like that inner child, her cries,
Yeah.
her abandonment, her deep deep abandonment, and really just without honoring her, forgiveness sort of felt like an empty shell that was sort of like, or like a painted over like version of like, oh yeah, I forgive you, without actually going through that process.
It's like saying I love you.
Yeah.
So many, right? I mean, it's like I love you, but and I was thinking too, like when you're talking about the forgiveness thing, if I don't do it, I'm a bad person. I'm not a
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
You know, like God's gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
not virtuous if I don't forgive
Yeah.
you immediately. So instead of like making forgiveness the goal, I've sort of just made healing my wounds the goal,
Yeah.
and then which is essentially remembering my wholeness,
Yeah.
so that when I do interact with these people again, or with myself, I can arrive at forgiveness in a very embodied, truthful, honest way, and so it's almost like cup runneth over. I can
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
like, I can forgive myself after I've gone through the process of really facing how poorly I behaved and
Yeah.
how many people I hurt in the process. And yeah, of course, we all had soul contracts with each other, but it's still like, again, I'm here for the human experience. I'm here for the human, and I did behave very poorly. And I know
Yeah.
those behaviors were from
Yeah.
trauma. So it's just been a whole process of like, I didn't go through the 12 steps necessarily, but I did send out about 20 apologies last year
Mm-hmm.
of people I've wronged over the years. Most of them were men. Um, Most of them were just, I'm sorry for leading you on, smashing your heart, or, all these things. Like, just, I was really out of control. And it's just been it's a very humbling sort of experience to come back and realize, like, okay, sure, I behaved poorly. Sure, I've gone through some stuff, and that's the reason that I behaved poorly. And also, like, remembering that I came here to do that, essentially, to go
Yeah.
through those things.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Man, you're fire, man. You're not buck wild. You're buck fucking wild. Excuse my French, but well, yeah, like that. You, it only comes through the brutal honesty of the soul,
Yeah.
and that there's no other way, in my opinion, to humility than that. And yeah, and you remind me, we are alike. We must be from the same leaf on the same stem of the same branch of the same tree.
Totally.
Because I remember when I hit it, 10 years ago, I remember and being on the street and being in that communion. And I remember going through this. I had to go through 12 steps. I went through 90 days rehab. And when I got into the 12 steps, and I'd never seen them before, I had already done step 4, which was a fearless moral inventory. And I had been on the streets for 2 years doing a fearless moral inventory, and I didn't know it. And and part of the reason that I did that, and I think I made this decision within days of it happening. And that was, I heard the best thing you can do for anyone and everyone is to be as close to 100% spiritual health, because that will affect your mental, your and so on, emotional. And that even if you never talk to these people again, energetically, this is the best thing you can do, is to heal yourself, to use the old terms, align yourself today. But yeah, I like that. I'm here for the human.
It's like I'm here for the human experience. If I wanted to float around in the clouds, I wouldn't have come down here. I came here to have a raw, painful experience to remember my divinity.
Yeah, but we certainly wouldn't have set it up to be a pain in the ass the whole time. And we've actually we're coming into something that's, in my opinion, going to go like dimensional. Oh, yeah. It's going to be literally no death, and there is no death. I mean, but at a physical level, that's a hell of a transformation. And I would probably put that up against anything I've been involved with or heard about before in our universal soul lineage. It's badass, It's badass. Yeah. I mean, that's how we're like, Morgan says, we're tuning forks. So it's really, and it's so crazy because you look at someone like you, and I've seen the impact that you have on people. And it's not been like, oh, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do that. You just are following that guidance, which this whole community is. And look what's happening. We're doing things without any expectation, and to the best of our abilities, shadows still present and so on, still doing the work. And it's having this extraordinary, this is a real virus.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And the best that I can do, or you can do, or anyone can do, really just changes by the minute, by the hour. Sometimes my best is laying on the ground, sobbing my eyes out. That's maybe the best that I can do in that moment. And that best meaning, like, what does that even mean? It just means honoring myself. Yeah. And maybe the best I can do another day is to sit down and write and create and, do all these outward things. It's my best really just changes all the time. And that's really just losing the meaning of good and bad. Yeah. I look back and I'm like, were these bad experiences? They were painful as fuck, but they ultimately brought me here. And I've never felt more whole, aligned, like all these different words you could use to describe it. It's indescribable. It's the value of the experience. It's what we knew we were getting into, but now we're in this space where, I mean, I saw it at the Soulogy Fest, and I know it's happening everywhere. I just saw this free flow, all inclusive, curvy, wavy kind of energy, as opposed to straight lines, and and I think it's where we're at now. I think I'm excited about what we're getting into. I think there'll be some distortion, but we're not looking at it the same. It's laughable. It's like, we're the eye of the hurricane, and there's no fucking hurricane. Just, we are the hurricane. Yeah, we are the hurricane, right? But yeah, you're very cool. You're very, very, you're powerful, and you're brave, and you're beautiful, and I'd love to collaborate with you again this year. Down the road, and wish you the best in what you're doing. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming in. And is there anything you want to do before we get out of here? Like, do you want to dance or light language or a blessing? Or do you have anything to say or anything
that you might be getting into that you want to tell us about?
The only thing that's really coming through is that I want to share to people that may be struggling with their stuff is that the way out of the discomfort is through it, and to really sit with and be with whatever comes up. There's just so much suffering that comes from avoiding unavoidable pain. And I'm not the first person to say that. That's a quote. I pulled it from someone. I don't remember who said it, but I just feel compelled to tell people that it's like what happened to them isn't their fault. And what happened to you may be a soul contract or a soul purpose or mission, but to not discount the emotions, the real emotions that your human is feeling. I just am very like, I'm so such a champion for compassion now. It's like really pulled out of me. Like I can't look around at people and see and judge them. Really, I can just have compassion and see their souls, because I just see like so much wounding out there, but I also see just the soul behind the wounding, right? So I don't know, that just feels like a message I kind of wanted to share with all of you. And thank you, Todd, so much for this community and for having me. And yeah, I'm so grateful, and I'm just so excited to chat again and collaborate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I would imagine, yeah, people are they're already being pulled to you. I would imagine that people come to you for.
I'm lassoing them. Come here.
Yeah. But I would imagine they come to you and say, "Hey, I got a little issue. Could you help me out?" I would think that you just. I don't really care for the word healer. Like it's like twin flame and all that other stuff, right? But yeah, that I guess like 5 or multi-dimensional. I don't know. I'm here for the human healer. That's the type of healer. I am here for the human because I am the human. I am here for the human that I am. Right? I mean, you carry that energy. So I would imagine some people probably will reach out to you. All right. So you take care. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to have to go lay down for 30 minutes. Get ready for the next show, which is in 45 minutes. Ernie Day with her soulful guitarist. She's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, great having you here. And I just want to say thanks again from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And Robert Evans says, have you been buck wild? Call Kristie. Call Kristie.
Yeah, that's my ad.
Buck wild. It's the buck wild modality.